Okay, today is the fourth session on force measure. We have arranged the sessions on different topics. There were three sessions earlier had were fantastic sessions. One is on challenges before the industries during the lockdown and road ahead post lockdown, which was conducted by Venkat sir. Then there was a session on survival strategy for MSME after lockdown, which was conducted by Ashok Nawal sir. Then yesterday there was a session on legal provisions regarding payment of wages and during the lockdown period. So these were the session we arranged, and today is the fourth session which I am going to conduct on force measure. So as you are, everything is at home, and due to this spread of coronavirus and lockdown, we have no option but to stay at home. And at home, everybody is doing something, some knowledge gaining, and work from home is there. So it is our also efforts to spread the knowledge during this lockdown period. You must have heard various news on the TVs or newspaper that there are certain litigations are going on, and there is a chances of litigations would be increased. While this period, I'll just share quick new facts or news. Due to this spread of coronavirus and lockdown, India has dragged China in the Human Resources Council, United Nations Human Resources Council, for waging war against India. So that is the initiation taken by the India. Also, there was a case filed by the International Council Jurist President, who is Agarwala. He has filed a complaint against China before the United Nations Human Rights Councils. Similarly, there were one US lawyer who has filed 20 trillion USD lawsuits against China. And then India also not behind it. A Mumbai-based lawyer has also filed a case before the International Criminal Council. And one was another interesting case filed by the UP lawyer in the UP court against the Chinese President Xi Jinping for spreading of this coronavirus. So these are the cases are coming up nowadays. So similarly, the important point which I am taking today, that is the force measure, which is, many of the people saying what is the force measure. Many of us not even seen this force measure clause which is there in a contract. Almost many of contracts includes this force measure clause, but considering its pronunciation and it's not that important during the good days, so people used to avoid it. You simply not to see it and just go ahead while review of contract or preparation of contract. But nowadays this force majeure clause has become very much important, and everybody is talking on the same, what is the force majeure, what is this contract, when I can invoke, when it is applicable, what are the remedies available in the law and each contract. So I would be covering this topic today and explaining what is force majeure and what are the remedies available, what is its implications, and everything about the force majeure clause and the judicial decisions. So in today's presentation, as I said, I'll explain meaning, its applicability, then some court decision, what court has taken a view in different cases while applicable, making it applicable force measure. Then specific issue which we'll discuss, which may arise a force majeure or not, and what about the limitation period during this time. And there would be an action plan which required by the industry to discuss in this presentation. Now, force measure. What is the meaning of it? Force measure means what? The force measure is nowhere defined in the statute. It is not the legal, it's a legal terminology, but not defined in a statute. Basically, this force measure word has come from the French term. It's a French term. So it means superior force, something beyond the control. That's the meaning is of force major, which basically from French. Normally in legal terms in India we use Latin terms, but this is the French term. So since there is no definition of force major, we need to obviously go and see what are the definition through different legal dictionaries. So few of I have just mentioned here. That is one of these Black Law Dictionary. What it says superior or irresistible force. Then Cambridge Dictionary, it says an unexpected event such as war, crime, earthquake, which prevents someone from something that is written in legal agreement. Then Merriam-Webster dictionary says superior or irresistible force and an event or effect that cannot be personally anticipated or controlled. Now these are the dictionary meanings. Now we can also find the different concept that is the vis major in the contract, which is the Latin term. One of my friend called and he says there is a no force major concept in my contract. Then he shared the contract. Then I found there is a vis major is being mentioned on the contract. So what is a vis major? It is the Latin term which being used parallelly along with the force major. That is the greater force or act of God. This vis major is limited term than the force major. Force major is a wider term than the vis major. So if you have this clause vis major, then you can also parallel link with this the force major clause. Hope I am audible and screen is visible to you. If you have, then you can. If you are not able to see, you can raise the hands. Now this force major is the creature of contract. We can say it is created by the contract. What are the main clauses mentioned? What terms the clause may mention is a depend totally on the contract. The words of contract is mentioned. That is the animus contrandi. What is meant by animus contrandi is the intention of the parties to the contract. What are their intentions while doing the contract? And the force major clause is totally depend on that intentions. Force major clause describes the event and the probability of occurrence of some event which make the party impossible to perform its obligation. So it says the certain events which may be illustrative or which may be exhaustive. They are, if the force major clause is mentioning war, then earthquake, flood, etc., then it is illustrative. If it is they mention only certain clause events like war or earthquake and act of God, if that is the concept words is used, limited words are used, then we can say it is the for the limited purpose. Then how it can be extended, that we will see. It will be depend on again the intention of the parties or to the contract. Force majeure clause may provide suspension of obligation by the parties to the contract. This clause may contain the provision that if the certain kind of events has happened, then we can stop the our obligation, we can freeze the obligation, and it can be conduct or performed after the that event has been gone. In force majeure, who can invoke? The parties to the contract. Both the parties can invoke this force majeure clause. It's again depend on the words used in that clause. Who can invoke? Who can initiate? And what is the obligation on the other party? But prima facie or apparently, you both the parties can invoke this clause, unless it is not specifically mentioned. Then remedies available in the force majeure clause. What are the remedies available in the force majeure clause is mentioned there in the clause itself. If the such event happened, then what either party will do? The party may stop the contractual terms or may perform after the end of that event, or entire contract will get terminated or cancelled. These kind of remedies can be mentioned in the force majeure clause or is being mentioned in the contract. Then provisions of notice, many of the force major clauses having the mention about the notice within 30 days, within 90 days, that person should issue the notice occurrence of that event. But it is a requirement of the one of the party that intimate to the another person that he is under the force major situation. He is not able to provide the provide the actual contractual terms, and he is not able to perform the obligation. That kind of notice has to be sent to the other party if it is specifically provided under the contract, or even if it is not specifically provided, then to invoke this force major clause, the notice is required to be invoked. Now, the force major clause, when it can be invoked, it can whether the conditions clause. One is that existence of valid contract. There should be a valid contract. If the contract is expired before the lockdown period, then force majeure clause cannot be invoked. Normally, the 31st March is the, if you see the maybe contract which ends at 31st March. And this lockdown period is in between 31st March, because lockdown started before 31st March and is still continue. So whether you have renewed your contract, whether contract is valid, that is also a factor which needs to be seen while invoking the force majeure clause. So at the time of invoking or at the time of event of force majeure clause, the contract should be valid. Force majeure clause is incorporated in the agreement. So there should be a clause in the agreement about the force majeure. And if it is not there, then what can be done? Whether there are any other remedies available, that we will see further. But if it is there, then definitely we can invoke this force majeure clause. Then obviously occurrence of event mentioned in the force majeure clause, and also there should be a circumstances which is beyond the reasonable control of the parties. Only force majeure has happened, but circumstances are not beyond the control. Means I can perform my obligation. If I can perform my obligation in that circumstances, then you cannot say that force majeure hasn't occurred. Right? If I have obligation to give this the session, and I am doing this session online by sitting at home, then I am fulfilling my obligation. So it is not beyond the control. Right? Then event should be foreseeable at the time of execution of contract. If you are executing contract and at that time the either party is knowing that this particular event will happen in future, and that situation foreseeable at the time of execution contract, then it is the force majeure clause cannot be invoked. It is not allowed to invoke the force in that situation if it is proved that this event was foreseeable at the time of execution. Further, occurrence of event which makes performance of obligation beyond control of parties. If the performance of the obligation is beyond control, as I said, if it is happened, then you can invoke force majeure clause. Even though it is not there in the agreement, then also we can invoke that. We will see further. Then during this event, the parties has taken all efforts to fulfill his obligation and mitigate the damages. He has taken all the efforts. It's not that only the event has happened, there is a lockdown, I cannot do anything. Instead of doing anything, I'm just going and seeking the force majeure clause benefit. Then that would not be granted by the courts, because there was a chance to perform its obligation or to do some efforts to perform the obligation or mitigate the damages. That would be seen in the particular case of the contract. Now, whether this force majeure can be invoked under COVID-19 lockdown. So, as we are under lockdown situations, is worldwide the pandemic has been declared, and government of India also declared this as a epidemic. World Health Organization already declared this COVID-19 outbreak as a global pandemic. Then government of India, by this order dated 24 March 2020, declared lockdown of 21 days, which is now extended till 3rd May. So this is the declaration which done by the government, and from government side has been act of this government will also consider under the force majeure clause, because lockdown is declared by the government, and no one can go against it, no one can go against the law. So the obligation and is performance of obligation is beyond the control of the persons. So this would be a valid reason that government has declared lockdown and there is no chance to perform my obligation. So under the force majeure clause, this government's action would also come, and we can initiate the force majeure clause because of this order. Further, Government of India in its circular 19 February 2020 has clarified about the evocation of the force majeure clause, how it can be invoked. So there was an purchase manual which was 2017 prepared by the government. In that manual, it is already been clarified in the force majeure event what will happen. So force majeure event, they have clarified that it means extraordinary event circumstances beyond human control as an event described as an act of God, like a natural calamity or event such as war, strike, riot, crime, but not including negligence or wrongdoing, predictable seasonal rain, or any other event specifically excluded in the clause. So what it says, if it is wrongdoing, negligence, or predictable situation, then it will not be included in force majeure clause. And force majeure clause in the contract frees both the parties. As I said, it frees the obligation of both the parties from the contractual liability or obligation when prevented by such event from fulfillment of their obligation under the contract. Further, it says force majeure clause does not excuse the party's non-performance entirely, but only suspends it for the duration of force majeure. So it will suspend till this force majeure event is there. The firm then it suggests the firm has to give notice of force majeure clause. Force majeure has occurred as soon as it occurs, and it cannot be claimed ex post facto. It means if it is occur, then the party who want to invoke this force majeure clause need to give notice to the another party that I am invoking this clause because I am not able to fulfill my obligation. But this invocation or this notice cannot be sent post facto, means it cannot be done afterwards. So after this event has happened, after 4 5 months, I come and say that I was under force majeure situation and I cannot fulfill the obligation, so that would not be allowed. So government says it should be sent the notice immediately. Now it would be seen whether I can able to send the notice. If there is no services of postal or courier, then there can be seen whether I can send the notice through email. If the such kind of options are available, then that should be explored. If it is not available, then immediately after lockdown, then I should send the notice by way of post or courier. If it's as much as possible, I should notice. I should explain in the notice that I was prevented because of this reason. I could not send through email as well because of this reason. So that can be done. So if that it cannot be claimed after the event has happened. There is no such force majeure clause invocation would be allowed in this situation. There may be a force majeure situation affecting the purchasing organization only. Means the buyer, sometimes the lockdown is been released in some area, some district. So in that case, lockdown is there in a particular buying institute. Then he can send the force majeure notice to the other party. Then communication is also said, communication is required in the similar line to come to the supplier or the person who is performing the obligation. And further it says in the manual it's been mentioned, if that force majeure situation is continue till 90 days, then either party has option to terminate the contract. It means this situation continues till 90 days, then any party can terminate the contract. Many of the force majeure clause says 30 days, some says 90 days, maybe 180 days has been mentioned. So if this events continues, then both the party has right to terminate the contract. So instead of going or freezing the obligation, they simply go and terminate the contract. So similarly, as Indian government has given these clarifications and also advise to the various agencies to invoke for invoking this clause, they need to send a notice. The China government also issued the certificates to the businesses for the force majeure clause. Around 5,000 force majeure certificates they have issued so far. Similarly, Italy government also authorized Chamber of Commerce to issue force majeure certificate businesses. So everywhere government has trying to clarify it and giving support to the businesses for invoking this force majeure clause. Now, what is the doctrine of frustration? Doctrine of frustration means the contract which become void when impossible to perform. This principle is present under Section 56 of Contract Act. So Contract Act provides this provision, that is the doctrine of frustration, which means frustration means cancellation of the contract or contract become void, which is from for the both the parties it become void, where the contract could not be executed because of such an event that was beyond the control of the parties. Then the performance of the contract renders it difficult, impossible, or even illegal. In this situation, the first doctrine of frustration can be invoked. There was an English case, Taylor versus Cadwell, where there was a contract for hiring of a banquet hall or a bigger hall. That hall get damaged in the fire. So since that hall itself has been damaged or is not available for the that event, then contract has to be get frustrated. So the contract becomes void because the provider of this hall cannot fulfill this obligation. But this kind of English case laws, whether it will be applicable in the current situation which have been changing nowadays, there are different options are available in different circumstances. So court may see that whether you were having the different options and whether you have explored that option. If it is not, then only you can go for the frustration of contract, that is a cancellation of contract. Then what would be the reasons of frustration of contract? There might be the change of circumstances. If there are any change in circumstances, then you can invoke this force majeure or frustration of contract. Destruction of subject matter. If subject matter itself is restricted, like an example given, that is the hall itself has been destroyed, and that's the only thing was available with the promiser, then you can invoke this doctrine of frustration and cancel the contract. Then death and incapacity of the party. If that, in case of personal performance, if that person is not there or it is incapable to perform his obligation, then also we can invoke this frustration of contract and contract can become void. Similarly, government policy and changes legislation, if that is being changed, which was not there at the time of execution of contract. For example, there was a law. One person has given his liquor shop on rent for operating that liquor shop to one of the person. Later, the government policy came and law came that you cannot run your liquor shop within the 400 meters from the highways. So because of this law, that operator cannot run the liquor shop, so that contract has to be frustrated. That contract becomes void because of government policy and change in law. Similarly, intervention of war. If any intervention is there in war because of war, then the contract can be made void. So this is the basically a frustration of contract which can be done. The situations, compensation for loss. Another thing is that compensation for loss for due to non-performance of act known to be impossible. If you are doing some executing some contract and it is you are aware that it is not going to be possible, then another party can get the compensation, and this provision is there under 65 of the Contract Act, who can claim the compensation who has derived advantage out of the contract. For example, if I have given advance to buy certain goods, and due to this force majeure event or lockdown, that I am not, that person not able to fulfill his obligation, so that contract should be made void. And if it become a void because of above circumstances and he is not fulfilling its obligation, then I have right to claim the compensation. He has to return my money back. So that kind of provision is also there in the Indian Contract Act. Now, what is the difference between force majeure and doctrine of frustration? That we'll see. The force majeure clause is a creature of contract. As I said, it is created by contract, whereas the doctrine of frustration is a common law principle. In the force majeure clause, obligations are suspended or frozen temporarily. So due to this lockdown, the obligation can be suspended for this period. But again, after lockdown is released, then you can start performing your obligation in the contract. Whereas in doctrine of frustration, contract become void and come to an end. So if you apply a doctrine of frustration, the result of it is that the contract become void or it come to an end. In force majeure, it can be seen if alternate mode of performance is available, the performance cannot be said to be impossible. So it can be seen whether it is totally impossible, whether there is a possibility to fulfill the obligation. It's seen in the force majeure, but this is not the case in doctrine of frustration. Impossibility need to be not need to be mere physical or literal impossibility. Practically, it is impossible to perform. That is been seen in doctrine of frustration. So what will be the relief under the force majeure due to lockdown? Since this lockdown situation come, then how we can derive the what are the reliefs are there in the contract and this particular force majeure clause? Though either from this clause we can see whether what kind of wordings being used in the contract, whether what kind of situation it provides, what kind of remedy it gives. It totally depend on the contractual wordings used, and it is will vary from contract to contract. Same yardstick cannot be applied for every contract. So we need to see whether relief is given for suspension of performance of contract, whether it is mentioned in this situation part performance is allowed. If I am suppose any manufacturing company is under essential things, or it is under the area which is lockdown is released. So since that manufacturing company is started its operation, but his or its supplier is from the lockdown area, then he cannot get the entire raw material. Suppose one supplier is at lockdown area and another supplier is in the non-lockdown area. So supplier who is delivering the goods, he can only manufacture the goods to that extent. So the supplier of the manufacturer, he can also send the material in the part quantity. So that kind of part performance, whether it is allowed in the contract, we need to see from the contracting wordings. Then many of the contracts mention the where the first major clause is there. It says first major clause is continue beyond the 30 days, then contract will be terminated. So if this kind of wording is there, then we need to really discuss with the parties whether after 30 days whether this particular contract will be terminated, or whether we can continue, whether we can change this clause, or there any other solution. So simply because this force majeure event is continued till 30 days, more than 30 days, whether it will be automatically terminated or contract will be discharged. So that kind of clauses we need to read, whether what is the meaning of that particular clause, and need to discuss with by the parties and come to a conclusion what needs to be done. Then parties can also invoke the provision of section 63 under Indian Contract Act, which says remit of performance. So you can remit the performance in part or whole. If force majeure clause is not there in your contract, then you can take the benefit of section 63 and come to the conclusion whether this performance can be done in part, or it is not possible, then what can be done. So you can discuss with the parties in the contract what needs to be done because of this force majeure event. Now we have seen what is the meaning of force majeure and what is the meaning of the frustration of contract, what is mentioned in the Contract Act. So after meaning, then what court has taken the views. There are different judgments were there in that courts has taken different views. So we quickly just go through it. What would be the court's view on this particular force majeure clause and doctrine of frustration? In case of Satyavrata Ghosh, in this case, Apex Court said Section 56, which is frustration of contract, would not be applicable in this case, and the word impossibility has been seen in the section in the sense of physical or literal impossibility. To determine whether force majeure event has occurred, it is not necessary that performance and act should literally become impossible, impractical from the point of view of parties. Then object of the agreement will be seen and will be considered in that particular situation. In this case, yeah, thank God the power has come now. So in this case, there was a land allotment in the area of Kolkata. Land was allotted by the company to the different people, and thereafter war was proclaimed, and military has acquired that particular land because of war. And this appellant and this plaintiff has asked for specific performance later on. So court held that the company were having the options to perform its obligation after the lockdown, this war situation, because it was a temporary. So or they can provide alternate solution as well. So this kind of fact would be seen while deciding the particular case. So here, frustration of contract, that is making the contract void, has been denied by the court. Then another case is Natty Jute Mills. In this case, the appellant agreed to purchase certain bells, and the respondent also agreed to sell those bells under the import license. Then later, government had changed the certain conditions of import license, and then party said, "I am not able to fulfill my obligation because government has changed the condition of license." But Supreme Court said the contract cannot be said to be or have been void, because the change in policy, or and government has not changed the entire policy, has just altered certain condition of that policy. So it will not help to the parties to claim that government had changed the policy. I will not perform my obligation. Therefore, the mere personal disqualification will not be considered under this force majeure, and court will not say that contract will be frustrated or you will not be able to fulfill your obligation. You cannot invoke the force majeure clause in this particular situation. Then another case, Dhanraj Govindram, where agreement was specific, the wordings of that agreement was mentioned. We confirm having sold to you African raw cotton on the following terms and conditions, subject to usual force majeure clause. So there was no specific force majeure clause, but just the word has been mentioned, subject to usual force majeure clause. So parties claim that this contract should be made void because there is no clarity about the force majeure clause. The argument of the party was that there was no consensus ad addendum. Consensus ad addendum means the party were not agree on that particular clause or that event. Hence, it should be made void. But court has denied this plea, and it says from the intent of this agreement, entire agreement, it seems that the force majeure should be considered. The party's intention was that if force majeure is there, then we can execute that. So instead of making this contract void or declaring it as a vague, the force majeure situation can be invoked, and obligation can be suspended for temporary period, or the as per the contracts. Though there was a force majeure clause in the minds of the both the parties of the contract, so force majeure is in existence in the particular contract that has been held by the Supreme Court. Then another case, that Alupi Prasad, in that case, appellant enter into an agreement with the government for purchasing ghee required by the army personnel. He was in a commission agent. He was supposed to arrange the buying of ghee for the army. Then in 1939, there was a World War II broken out, and there was an increased demand in the by the government. So then the contract was altered and contract was made to then this particular agent has uh, filed a complaint or the case that this supplementary agreement should be made void or it should be frustrated because there is a lot of efforts and personal difficulties in execution of that contract, and you should get the more commission and more price. So court says personal difficulty is not been seen when you are executing a contract, and the contract cannot be declared as void. And the performance, as the reason of performance become onerous, often the unforeseen event cannot be considered in that particular contract. Then next case is our industrial financial corporation, and we can more in this case this industrial finance corporation given the surety and guarantee for the company, but later because of nationalization this company went into the central government and central government has acquired this particular company. Then the company claimed that contract should be made void because it cannot fulfill its obligation because of this nationalization. But court has that making this acquisition by the central government is a totally altogether different contract. It is not linked with the your contract between you and that company. So they have denied this claim that contract should be made void. And similarly, another famous case is that energy watchdog. In this case, what has happened? There was a rise in prices of coal imported from Indonesia, and which is required for the power. Then court held that the price rise was not event which frustrated the contract. Alternate modes of performance were available. It means if the prices are higher, then he can see whether coal can be imported from the another country. So that kind of options were available with the party. Then it cannot claim the contract should be it can be become void. He should invoke the force majeure clause and perform the obligation or find alternate way of performance. So mere performance is difficult. It cannot be that contract is void. Now there are recent judgments which has came during this lockdown period. On the meeting in Shanghai higher people's court on February 8, what is said, if the parties are unable to perform due to impact of epidemic or their performance has a significant impact on their rights and interests of other parties, they shall follow the principle of fairness, good faith, etc. and aggregately consider the such as the agreement between the parties, development stage of epidemic, the casual relationship between the epidemic, and the inability to perform or difficulty in performing a contract and the level of impact of epidemic. So these kind of things needs to be seen when you are deciding anything. The court is deciding anything, this kind of things should be seen. Then there was a Bombay High Court judgment which was came on 9th April. There was an exporter which was this South Korean exporter who has exported the steel to the Indian global corporation company. There were many petitions like this, and this Indian company claimed that this particular contract should be made void or force majeure clause they have invoked. Basically, they wanted to claim that letter of credit that bank should not be encashed. So normally in import-export transaction, letter of credit is being given. So bank should not encash that letter of credit because of this force majeure situation and lockdown in India. But court held that this letter of credit, execution of letter of credit with the bank is a different transaction, and importing the steel by you is a different transaction. That Korean party has fulfilled its obligation by putting goods to you, and you are not able to use it or some other reasons, it can be held that this contract can be void or the force majeure clause can be invoked and you cannot stop payment to. So court has noted that letter of credit are an independent transaction banks, and banks not corrected with the underlying dispute between the buyers and seller. Any event, the lockdown would be limited period, and the lockdown come to rescue the, and lockdown cannot be come to the rescue of the petitioner because it's a limited period. It's not the long. So court said that they have denied the plea. They to deny them the invoking the force majeure clause in this particular case. So such kinds of cases will come in future because of this lockdown. There are many issues like in industry. For example, you can I'll share the example of a client who is manufacturing of packaging material. Now the lockdown period, there were manufacturing of pharmaceutical products are under the essential goods. So manufacturing of pharmaceutical products were allowed. So pharma companies were operating, but for pharma companies, they need a packing material to pack their medicines. So one of the packing material manufacturing company, the company were and also supplying to the pharmaceutical companies. So what they did the efforts and applied to the authority, explain them how their packing material is used by the pharmaceutical companies, and they got the permission to manufacture it, and they started fulfilling their obligation. If they might have not done anything, that because of lockdown, I'm not going to start my manufacturing company because of lockdown. People are not coming, but applying with the reduced staff, they started manufacturing, fulfill their obligation. So in this case, they have fulfilled their obligation. Then your clause will not be by the parties. Had it been they not made any efforts and later on claim the force majeure clause, then they might have not get the benefits of force majeure clause because they are having option, the option or the remedies to perform their or fulfill their obligation. So in that particular case, the court may take that view. Then another example which we can think of the contract laborer. So this is the issue rather than presentation is not working. Just a minute. Hope you are able to see the screen. Please raise hand if you are able to see. This is connected and restarted now. Able to see my now. I think there was an issue and this webinar got restarted. I have started it now. Please raise your hand if you are able to see the screen. Okay. So I was sharing the issue regarding the contract labor. Manufacturing company hire the laborers from the labor contractor, and the contractor in this lockdown period is not able to provide the laborers as per the schedule provided by the company. Nowadays, you can see that many of the manufacturing company hires the laborers from the contractor. With these contractors gets their remuneration with some certain basic minimum margin or the commission. So in that case, yesterday we also seen the session where it was explained about the payment of wages. Though this issue has come, whether the contractor would pay, because the government has already said that you should pay the wages and salaries and all. So how that contractor will pay the wages to their worker. If the contractor is not able to fulfill his obligation, the contractor also need to see whether they have force majeure clause in the agreement and what it's provide. And if company says, I will not give you money because you have not provided the workforce. If worker are not working in the factory, why should I pay? So in this would be the very critical situation for the labor contractor and manufacturing company. What would be they do? Even after lockdown is over, even after lockdown is over, then workforce would not be in that strain because many of the worker has left their city and went at their native place. At their native place, if they come or not, don't come, nobody knows. So in this situation, it would be difficult for the labor contractor also to provide the worker and for the manufacturing company also to get the good workforce. So this would be the situation where force majeure clause can be invoked and contract needs to be seen what to be done and how contractor will pay the wages to their worker because of these policies of the government. And there, as yesterday Venkat just said, there is a case of Nagarika Export which is there in the Supreme Court. Then what Supreme Court will held on that particular order of the government about the payment of wages. So this would be the issues going forward is will be there. And another issue would be like shop or the warehouses which company has hired. There are various warehouses company hires or the shops, normal shop we can say. During this lockdown period, either those are not being used or for example, these shops, grocery shop. He is under grocery shop. He is allowed to be open at the lockdown period. If he's opening his shop and he cannot say that I can invoke force majeure clause and I will not pay to the landlord for the particular rent to the shop of the shop. And the warehouse is owner also. Warehouse company may say I am not using your warehouse. Why should I pay for the warehouse rent? Then what that landlord will do? Then we need to see go back to the contract. What is the contract wording? What it provides for force majeure clause? What remedies has been available? So each case would be different, and we need to see from the contracts wording per se. Then similar case of the facility management also. The facility management and contract labor is the similar example. We can say that facility management means they clean our premises, offices clean. If lockdown is there, then they are not able to come to the offices and factory to clean the premises. Then what would happen to that workers which are working with these facility management companies? So this kind of issue would be there, which will determine what is the contract, whether force majeure clause will be invoked or not. Then another issue with respect to these Maharera conditions, in that the Maharera builder has to complete their obligation within the prescribed time limit. They need to give the possession to the flat owners within the time specified under the Maharera. So whether this time limit would be applicable to the builders, whether they can apply for the extension. So that kind of extension as of now is not there under the law, but law provides the extension in the circumstances which is beyond control of the builder. There was a ruling by the Maharashtra Real Estate Regulatory Authority in Lavasa Corporation, sorry. So in Lavasa Corporation, what they said, force majeure clause cannot be invoked because of approvals. There is no approvals by the government. So in this situation, that authority said force majeure cannot be invoked. So you need to fulfill your obligation within time. But now the situation is different. It is totally beyond the control of the you can say builders. They cannot perform their obligation because workers are not there. They cannot construct the building and give the possession and complete the building in the time. So in this situation, force majeure clause can be invoked and the extension period can be claimed. So this kind of the issues would going to be come in the going forward. Now is good thing is that in the employment contract there is no force majeure clause. Otherwise, the every salaried person would be thinking whether I'll get a salary or not. So thank God there is no such clause in the employment contract as of now. So this is the issues which are going to come, and we need to see what is the contract, what is the wordings used in contracts, and accordingly we need to take the action, suitable action. Now we can uh, just a minute, slides are not moving. Okay, now in what will happen in real estate sector. So it is now a very most search or discussed topic is the real estate. It is you can see the order of the government Minister of Home Affairs. They have given in their guideline also they have mentioned that no rent should be uh, claimed by the workers or student or migrants. So they suggested don't claim the rent for 1 month. 1 month is mentioned over there, but recently Maharashtra government in their its order dated 17 April 2020, they are asking the landlords not to evict the tenants and defer the recovery of the rent. So this is the directions given by the government. There was one judgment which I'd like to discuss here that in case of Raja Dhruvadev, the Supreme Court held that by way of Section 4 of Transfer of Property Act, all its provision shall be read into the Contract Act and not vice versa. Meaning thereby that general provision of Contract Act will not apply to the lease agreements. The lessee cannot avoid because he does not or is not able to use the land for the purpose which is led to him. So these real estate and this real estate or transfer of property is covered under the separate legislation, that is a Transfer of Property Act. So giving the rent on the flats is covered under the Transfer of Property Act. The general provision of the Contract Act will not be applicable to it. That's what the court says. Uh, though it is the contract between the landlord and the tenant, though is the contract, but Transfer of Property Act would be applicable for these over the general law of contract. The contract will be applicable, but it will be overridden by the Transfer of Property Act as well. So in the real estate section, there were the issues coming up that people are not getting the rent. Suppose this Maharashtra government has passed given this order, and because of this order, tenant is not paying the rent to the landlord, and that landlord suppose is a senior citizen. He has only rent is an income to his livelihood. So what he will do? He will not get his income because it's the only income he is earning from the rent. So this kind of situation will come, which create problems. The person who is having capacity to pay, he will also not pay. So because of this general guidance or general statement or order, it will create another problem and the disputes. It will create litigations in the country. And another example in case of TT Lakshmipati, where Supreme Court observed that tenancy cannot be said to have been determined by attracting applicability of doctrine of frustration. Consequent upon demolishing of tenancy premises, doctrine of frustration belong to realm of contract. It does not apply to transaction where not only privacy of contract but privacy of estate has also been created, in so much as lease is the transfer of interest in immovable property. So such type of judgment will come, the doctrine of frustration would not be get applicable. You cannot make the contract void. Then, as I said, doctrine of frustration cannot be applicable in the lease agreement. We need to see the what are the contract and Transfer of Property Act provision as well. If the force majeure clause or doctrine of frustration is not applicable for this kind of lease agreement, then what would it be? Then there is a section 108 under the Transfer of Property Act where there is an event like force majeure, like fire or earthquake, flood. If such kind of situations come, then under section 108 there is a provision when property is permanently unfit for use due to irresistible force, contract becomes void. So here the similar provision is there, like under section 56 of Contract Act, and that contract can be made void under the Transfer of Property Act. Now, yesterday also we saw this Epidemic Disease Act and Provision of Disaster Management Act. So what it says? So now government, as I said, government has declared that you should pay the rent. No one should force for paying the rent from the tenant. If this kind of order is there, and if you are not adhering to that order, what will happen? So under Section 3, Epidemic Disease Act provides penalty under Section 118 of under IPC against the person disobeying the any regulation made under this act. If you are not fulfilling that particular advice or order, or you are disobeying that order, then action can be initiated under Section 118 of IPC. It is a separate part that whether it is order issued by the Maharashtra government or Indian government, whether it would be valid or it will be constitutional or not, that is a matter of time, and court will take its own course to take the decision. But till the time this section is applicable, and the person who want to make a nuisance, he can use this provision and create the problem. So as of now, this order is valid. There is no court orders that they can say it is ultra virus to the this epidemic disease act or this disaster management act. So these kind of provisions are there to follow these kind of regulations or the plans or orders which government is doing nowadays during the lockdown. Another section which is there in the Disaster Management Act, that is Section 73. It says no suit proceedings can be initiated against government or person who is acting in good faith in pursuance of regulation framed under this act. If this regulation or this guidance is framed under this Disaster Management Act, then you cannot sue or initiate the proceeding against this government or that particular person or the authorities. So this kind of provision is there. But till the time the appropriate decision comes from Supreme Court about this validity of this, there should be a reasonable means to be used while claiming the interest. And that the particular person or the correct to the party need to see what is the requirement. If that, I have given an example of senior citizen, he is having only income from rent, then that situation the party should think whether we should pay their interest. If capacity is there to pay the interest, then it should definitely be paid. If the students are staying and rented premises, if you are given the rental premises to the worker, they don't have income. So in that case, claiming the rent would be that not proper. So again, the over a contract, we need to see humanity ground, what can be done just and for the equitable means. Now the time limitation. So you must be knowing there was a Supreme Court decision that order is dated 23rd March 2020. On suo motu petition, the court has extended the time limit for all the appeals proceedings or whatever application petition which is required to be filed either under special law or in the general law. So this court has extended the time limit because of this lockdown period. Again, similarly, by taxation and other laws, relaxation of certain provision ordinance 2020 has relaxed the certain compliances under the tax laws, that is the GST, income tax, well. So these tax laws, there was a certain relaxation given in the compliances. Under GST law, extension has been given for making compliances like refund, return, report statement if you are filing any appeal. So that validity period is getting increased. Validity of e-way bill has been extended. So these are the extensions given, but there are no extensions has been given for payment of tax. So if you there is an extension of 15 days only given for filing of GSTR 3B. If you are filing thereafter, then you need to pay 9% interest per annum. So this kind of extension is given only to the compliances, not to the tax. Similarly, in direct tax law also there is a compliances relaxation, but not relaxation on payment of tax. There will be an applicable of interest of 0.75% per month. So government is giving the relaxation time, but not for the all purpose. It is subject to certain conditions, or to some extent they have given the relaxation. Now under this section 168A, which is incorporated by this ordinance under the GST Act, what it says, it incorporates the force majeure clause. So they have incorporated force majeure clause and define it as force majeure means a case of war, epidemic, flood, drought, fire, cyclone, earthquake, or any other calamity caused by nature or otherwise affecting the implementation of any of the provision of this act. This force majeure clause clearly they have defined. It is not included lockdown, but after, or you can say any other calamity caused by nature or otherwise. So or otherwise means by any means that calamity is there, then this force majeure clause will be applicable, and because of this they got the power to give the relaxation in certain compliances. So they have issued one notification, that is notification number 35. In that notification, they have extended this kind of time period, but there was an exception to it. They have not given this relaxation to the chapter 4, I guess. So chapter 4 is relating to time of supply and value of supply. So in that case, they have not given any extension. If you are a service provider, you are supplying services, you have already supplied the services before lockdown, and there is a condition to issue invoice within 30 days. So within 30 days, you need to raise an invoice. But this section is not covered under this particular notification, though extension is not available. You cannot claim force majeure in this particular situation. Another thing is that you have manufactured the goods and you have prepared an invoice in the month of March before lockdown started. 15th March you have created an invoice. So whether you need to pay GST on that or not, because you have not provided the goods to the buyer. You have not cleared the goods. Invoice is prepared but not removed because of lockdown. So in that case, also you need to pay the GST because it is not extended this kind of situation. You need to pay the GST on that particular invoice while filing the GST R3B. So these are the situations under the tax law also, where you cannot straight away invoke force majeure clause. Wherever you need to pay the taxes, you have to pay. It will not help to from getting out of the making the delayed payment of the taxes. If you are paying, they are allowing the payment to be made delay, but there is an interest clause is applicable to it. So now considering this and all this, what would be your action plan? And what industry should prepare for themselves? First, you need to review the contract and force majeure clause. What is the wordings mentioned in your contract? Whether it is talk about any notice, whether it is talk about fulfillment of obligation in part or full, when notice to be sent, what is the time limit is mentioned, that you need to review. And if it is required to send a notice, then you need to send a notice. If you have received notice against the force majeure clause, then you need to appropriately reply it. It is again depend on the what kind of wordings is used, how that another party has invoked force majeure clause, and how you need to reply. Then check whether there are any temporary possibility of the impossibility of contract or permanent one. So if it is a temporary impossibility, then you can fulfill this obligation after the lockdown is over. If it is permanent, then analyze whether we can continue with the contract by a different means, or we should go for a frustration of contract. Then what are the remedies provided under force majeure clause, whether it provides suspension, termination, or alternation. Then we see and accordingly proceed. Analyze due to lockdown prices are impact, whether prices are impacted. Check negotiation provision in the contract. If your prices are increased due to lockdown, then whether you have a negotiation provision in contract, that you need to see and take the appropriate decisions, and start the negotiation with your counterpart. Identify impossibility of contract to invoke section 56 of the contract act. If you want to go and say that I want to make this contract void or cancel, then you need to identify that particular situation whether it is there, and try to opt for alternate dispute resolution. If you have any issues between this contract, then there is a provision in the contract, then you can do arbitration, you can do mediation. You need to resolve this issue by way of alternate dispute resolution instead of directly going to the courts. So this kind of preparations and efforts or precaution we need to be taken during this lockdown period. Need to review the contract in totality, and then appropriate decisions to be taken. So with this, I have concluded my session on this force majeure clause. I would like to also tell you that we with Sol Legal, we are providing various services in legal stream, whether it is business law, fiscal law, consumer law, corporate law, labor laws, intellectual property laws. So in various laws, we are providing the services at our Bitsol Legal. And this is our the legal expert team, which is available all the time to help you. If you need any help on any of the law, we are there. Now I'd like to make an announcement. As you are watching all these webinars, every day there is an upcoming webinar which is very interesting and useful. Dr. Advait Venkataraman, who is the director of Itsol India Financial Services Private Limited, will be taking this webinar tomorrow on the risk mitigation in forex and financing. So he'll be giving guidance and talking about the risk mitigation in forex, what are the means of finance, because it is very important topic today. What would be my finance and financial situation? So in this lockdown situation, it is very important to understand the means of finance, and he would be explaining us on this topic. If you have any queries, you can ask your question in question and answer tab. And later you can also ask us the any queries on teambitsol@bitsolindia.com. On this email ID, you can send your question as well. So that's it. Now it's a Q&A time. You can ask your questions. I'll just check what are these questions are there. Jamal Khan sir, is outbreak of COVID-19 a force majeure situation? Yes, in my presentation I said it is COVID-19 is a force majeure situation. You can invoke it, and government has also given this order. They also in one of the explanation they have mentioned it is the situation where you can invoke force majeure clause because of this COVID-19 and lockdown. Ravinath ji, is force majeure akin to act of God, and how does it impact the responsibility of an employer-employee relationship vis-a-vis payment of wages and salary? Yeah, this is the act of God, but it will not impact on the employer-employee relationship and payment of wages, because force majeure is a contractual term, and in employment contract it is not being mentioned the force majeure. And yesterday also we have saw this detailed thing on payment of wages, and what would happen on this kind of situation where on employer-employee relationship and payment of wages and salaries. Again, Jamal Khan, if COVID-19 is not a force majeure or not provided as a force majeure in my agreement with third party, what respite do I have? If you don't have force majeure clause in your agreement, then as I said, you can go by the intent of the parties, whether they intend to have such kind of situation and it is appearing from your contract, or you can go for the Indian Contract Act, where if you want to go for frustration of contract, make it wide, then you can also go for frustration of contract. Or if it is not at all there, then by reasonable means you can invoke this force majeure clause by considering your entire agreement. So entire agreement needs to be seen, what are the intention of party needs to be seen before invoking this force majeure clause. Please share your mobile. My mobile number is there on the screen. The that is done, then can force majeure be invoked in case of contract, namely rental agreement, which is not registered with the competent authority? Yes, force majeure clause is there in your agreement. You can invoke it, whether it is registered or not. It is altogether different thing, because registration provision is different and it is a different act. Even if it is not registered, then if it is even notarized, if you are agreed and the landlord and tenant is agreed and the contract is executed, then you can invoke this force majeure clause. Neil Kamdarji, it usually happens that construction sites are affected by local resident and Mathadis. Can this be considered under the force majeure clause? Mathadis protest or local residents cannot be considered as a force majeure clause uh, because it is not an event which is beyond your control. You can always control it. There are laws to control it. So force majeure clause will not be considered for this kind of nuisance which suppose any local residents are creating or Mathadi Kamgar has gone into strike. So there are other ways to do it, but according to me, it should not be considered under the force majeure clause. Not that kind of event. Darshan Bahidi, not able to repay loan since I had lost my business due to a pandemic. Would this covered under DOF or force majeure clause? See, repayment of loan is a, as I said, is a totally altogether different transaction which is with the bank. So the force majeure because of this pandemic and lockdown, if you are not making the repayment, it's different altogether different things. Already RBI and the banks are giving the moratorium for the making this EMI and delay in making payment of EMI. So this action already taken by the government for the benefits who are not able to make the payment of EMIs. But entire non-payment of loan cannot be considered as a force majeure. You cannot say I will not pay the EMIs. So because the other party will get affected on 20. So this cannot be done if you are not making the payment and by using this force majeure clause. How the DMA supersedes every act. How can anybody invoke the provision of Section 63 of the Indian Contract Act as related to contract of employment issued by the employer to employee? Yeah, if it even though it is supersede this disaster management act, even though it is supersedes, it is having the specific things which are mentioned under the disaster management act. It cannot be said that it is supersede all the laws, all the provisions. So there is a structure of this particular act, and if that is that particular structure affects by any other provisions of the other laws, then only it will supersede. Otherwise, not. Neil Kamdar, what is a consultant? We do not have force majeure clause and lump sum job where milestone of payment depends on the process of project. Can we in some way claim from the client as a man month on lockdown days? Can it be paid? Yes, if it is agreed by both the parties, it is consensus that because of this situation, there is no jobs or others. The projects are there which has completed milestone. Like as a builder, if they are getting the payments on milestones of the particular this project, so in that case, we need to see the contract, what is mentioned in that particular session, what the party should do. If it is not there, then again parties need to think of it and decide amicably what needs to be done. So hopefully the force majeure clause should be there in the this kind of contract, and the wordings of this force majeure clause can only answer the this question, what the party needs to be done. Sandeep Shewari, whether force majeure will applicable in case of employment agreement. So as I said, in employment agreement, there are no force majeure clause. If it is applicable, then maybe this will be altogether different situation. We cannot imagine where it will go. I have deployed a few resources at our client factory. Our resources were working from home after declaration of lockdown. Post extension of lockdown beyond 31st March, client inform us that they do not require services of few of our resources till lockdown period and stop work from home of our resources. Force majeure clause is mentioned in our contract. Is the company liable to pay remuneration to us? these resources we have stopped working. Do you think client will deny the remuneration by invoking force majeure clause? Now again, I also address this issue if force majeure clause is there in your contract. In again depend on the wording what is used. If your worker which is deputed for the client, if they are performing their work from home, then you have fulfilled your obligation. Then other part of obligation for making payment is has to be done. If you are not fulfilling your part of obligation, then again the obligation from your client's perspective may not be fulfilled. So it's again depends on the contract what you have executed. If one party is fulfilling obligation, the other party has to fulfill its obligation. There is no second third one. Khyati Mr. Handaji, as per section 73 of Disaster Management Act means companies can't challenge government's order of not withholding the salaries. It doesn't mean it says the it is done in good faith. So proceedings cannot be initiated against the government authority. Suppose the district collector has passed the order, there should be a complete lockdown, even there should not be a grocery or vegetable shop be open in that particular area. So you cannot go and file a complaint against the district collector that he has banned because other areas are working, but in our area it is banned. So you cannot go and file the complaint against that person because he has done that much thing, and you are getting damages or you are getting at loss because of such decision. So you cannot file a complaint. But obviously, if that particular decision is not inconsistent with the act or it is ultra virus, then definitely there is a provision or possibility you can file the complaint. That yesterday we also discussed about the Nagarika Export. They have filed a petition against the before the Supreme Court that against the order of the government to pay the wages to the worker. So it is already filed. So we need to see what the outcome of that case is there. Sanjay Lalitji, I can share experience when preparing force majeure clause. Yeah, you can share the experiment. I'm not able to understand the question. Then Mahesh Bhosle, he says force majeure clause is not specified in contract whether we invoke force majeure clause. If force majeure clause invoke what details or documents to be provided, backup and check time extension money wise. Film clause invoke time extension consider when lockdown get open, date up till smooth working get started. Already said if force majeure clause is not invoked, then you can invoke based on the wordings of your agreement, and details and document means your agreement, your communication with your contracted party. What are the communication apart from the agreement you have? That would be the supporting document for the same. Is coronavirus declared as a man-made virus? Will FM will be applicable? Amit, wow, good question. Whether this coronavirus declared as a man-made. So as I earlier said, the various persons, lawyers, government has filed a complaint against the China, and later on it is been revealed that this is the man-made virus. Whether it will be situation of force majeure, then obviously though it is the declaration whether it is man-made or the act of God or natural calamity, there is an event of lockdown which is declared by the government. So government has declared this lockdown which makes the your performance or obligation impossible. So by that way this force majeure clause will be applicable even though this particular virus is considered as declared as man-made virus. Virat Parikh, can you once again explain the letter of credit related case? Yes, this letter of credit related case, which has recently Bombay High Court has passed the order, where the Korean exporter has exported the steel to the Indian party. And while executing this contract, there is a letter of credit concept where the bank makes the payment. So it is not depend on the parties to make the payment. Once goods are delivered to the buyer and buyer gets the goods, then banks makes the payment to the that seller. Which is already been there was a relation between the buyer and the banks, the deposits, or they create a arrangement about the payment. So this letter of credit is nothing but the payment made by the buyer to the seller. So if the seller has already exported the goods and which has came to the Indian port, but this Indian party has claimed that letter of credit should not be encashed by the bank. They have filed the petition before the court that to restrict the bank not to encash letter of credit. So that particular case, Bombay High Court said this cannot be happened because the transaction between you and bank is a different thing, and this lockdown is different thing. And alternatively, this steel which you have imported is the under the essential category. So you cannot claim force majeure clause and ask to restrict the bank from not to encash the letter of credit. It was a very well described presentation. Thank you, Sam. Would like to explain again destruction of subject matter. Okay. You meant to say what if the subject matter is destructed, then whether force majeure clause will be applicable. So yes, if subject matter is destroyed, so I give an example of hall. If one particular hall is hired for the some concert and a particular date that concert is there, if that hall is burned or there is an damage of to the hall, then that particular event cannot be held. So this contract cannot be made void, and uh, principle of the doctrine of first station would be applicable in this case, because that particular hall is destructed, you cannot perform the event, perform the obligation. Kumar Polwar. Will be the impact of this clause in warehousing, leave and license agreement. Yes, in warehousing, leave and license, similarly in real estate sector, I give an example. If warehousing, what kind of agreement you have entered with the landlord? What kind of activity you are doing in warehousing, whether it is manufacturing, only storing, what that needs to be seen. Again, the order is given by the government not to insist for the payment. And if you see the government of India order, it says the migrant, student, worker. But in Maharashtra government, it says only asking the landlords not to insist for rent. So there is a difference in this order, but Maharashtra government's order, it can be get covered. So warehousing is the commercial activity, it can get covered. So landlord should not insist for the rent. But again, we need to see what is your contract, what is the reasonable means. If a warehousing person is under the essential category, if still he is not doing their business, then he has no right to ask the landlord not to claim the rent. And if warehousing is having capacity, and on the other hand, the landlord is not having financial strength because of this lockdown, he should have some earning also. Then in that case, warehouse tenant should also consider that request from the landlord. So it would be seen based on the agreement and situation of the parties of the contract. Gyanji, how supplier manufacturer can stuck in between from in PO, whether LD clause is always applicable. Not understood the question. Stuck in between, you mean to say you are in process of purchase order, and that purchase order is not yet granted. Till the time that purchase order is issued, it is not a valid contract. If you are in the process of negotiation, it is not a valid contract. So you cannot invoke this force majeure clause because of lockdown. Are there other alternatives to force majeure clause? By Manish, I explained if you don't have force majeure clause, what you need to do. You have to review the contract and understand the entire content of your contract, what it says. If it provides in one of the case, it is said subject to force majeure clause. It is a just single word. And suppose there is no such clause, or if your contract says something. I have seen one insurance policy where there is a no force clause mentioned, but there is a wording mentioned this policy will not be applicable or benefit will not be given in case of war, nuclear attack by the different country. If this kind of wording are there, then you need to see this the contract entirely. So in insurance policies, if there is a war, you cannot get the benefit of that insurance. So these kind of wordings are there. So you need to see apart from force majeure clause, if you have any wordings in your contract. If it is not there, then you need to take a benefit of Indian Contract Act. Either you can make the contract wide. If it is not impossible, you can fulfill your obligation. You can have a negotiation with the contracting party, and then you can fulfill the obligation after lockdown period. You can freeze your obligation during this period if you don't have this clause. Saini say tendery no paying us due to documents storage, but our contractor asking payment as he has to pay for material and his labor. I'm not understood this document storage. What is that? I'll get back to you on this question, or offline we can. I'll share you this answer to on email. Mr. Pramod Jain, is it is necessary to quote the reference of contract while informing counterparty about the force majeure clause? If yes, is it okay if we just write an email to contract counterparty? Is it also required to get the acceptance of counterparty? It's a good question, whether your communication is completed. If you want to invoke the force majeure clause, you want to inform something to your counterpart about the force majeure clause, then you can communicate. Email is the valid communication. It is accepted, but whether it is he has accepted or not, that you are really, if you are not, you can also just check with him whether he has received the email. If he has not received an email, there is an option you can also click on read receipt, from where you can understand he has got that email. So email communication will also be and the valid communication if you are making to your counterpart for the purpose of invoking of this force majeure clause. Asit Jain, Section 10 of transfer property is applicable only when there is a permanently unfit for use and not current is a statement. Okay. Yes, obviously. If your property is permanently unfit use, then Section 108 is invoked. He completed some customer project, but party said they will only talk regarding payment after lockdown open. We haven't any clause force majeure. What can we do in this case? Yes, in this case, you need to again see your contract. If force majeure clause is not there, there might be some contract about wording about the payments when he needs to make the payment. There must be some milestone about the payment clause when you need, when that party needs to payment. If you have fulfilled your obligation and if he is not making the payment, then you can invoke the clauses which says about the making the payment. You can also demonstrate your difficulties before him and get the payment as early. Or instead of going to the court, is the best way of mitigation, or by negotiation you can resolve this issue. Not query to compare employee for private to public sector employee. Will public sector employee will be paid full salary wages for April 2020 thereafter? Yeah, this salary part is not linked to the force majeure, which is already addressed yesterday. If you have missed the presentation, you can again see the session on our Facebook page. You will find the solutions or the some clue over there. I think it's the last question, by Mr. Jain. In continuation of your response on lease agreement for warehouse, why such lease agreement is not considered an agreement under TP Act? And if yes, then FM will not be enforceable. Yes, lease agreement are considered under Transfer of Property Act. I already explained. It is a Transfer of Property Act is applicable this particular lease agreements, and you can invoke this force majeure clause in accordance with the section 108 if it is permanently unfit, and you can also negotiate with your counterpart on the particular this lease agreement. I think the questions are over. Then I'll take your leave. Thank you very much for attending this session. Thank you very much.